Hi everybody, it's Peter Stockdale, the host of the Spin Market Report. Are you looking for a new place to advertise your business? With over 85,000 YouTube impressions and 20,000 total streams across all platforms in the last 12 months, the Spin Market Podcast Network could be the prime space you've been looking for to advertise your business. Get a hold of Spin Market today and see what advertising on a podcast can do for you. Visit www.spinmarketwith2ks.com or email digitalagent@spinmarket.com for more information.
It's the Spin Market Report. Here's your host, Peter Stockdale.
Hey everybody, Spin Market Report. We're back. I'm sitting down with Sarah Holmes today. Sarah Holmes, you are the Vice President and Branch Manager of Green State Credit Union, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. So let's start off with a nice, easy one. How did you get interested to pursue a career in, I guess you want to call it banking or the credit union industry?
Yep, absolutely. So when I was 19, I did not know what I wanted to do with my life. I was in college, didn't like what I was doing, needed a full-time job that had benefits and health insurance. So my mom worked for a big national bank chain. She said, hey, they will work around your college schedule. They'll have benefits. They have great health insurance. And so I was like, okay. I looked at it and I started as a bank teller. Yeah. And so did that for a few years, eventually really liked what I was doing, decided I was going to leave school, pursue that full-time. I ended up being a teller supervisor and then switched to another large bank chain, became a sales and service manager over that location.
All right. Did
that for 4 years, and then they opted to close the location that I was in, which is really common among big banks. They change things around a lot.
Yes.
Ended up, life brought me to this end of the state. I grew up in eastern Iowa, but got out of the banking realm for a little bit just because those large banks and that high-pressure sales atmosphere is not what I wanted to do. Loved the finance piece of it, did not like pressuring people into things that I didn't feel like were a good fit for them. It was against my conscience for what I wanted to do. So actually got into the nonprofit realm after that and worked for nonprofits doing public relations, communication, marketing, and then got into like county government and did economic development, community development, finance for small businesses. And that kind of brought me full circle back to the finance side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. Yeah, I've worked a little bit with banks before in the past or in the finance industry in that aspect. And, I can't confirm, sometimes I want to call them like mega banks, but there's like a handful of really big ones and they switch things around quite a bit. So it's kind of tough to, just keep one position and just keep going forward with it. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, we're going to move you over here now.
Exactly.
And it just kind of happens that way. So it's a happenstance that brought you over this way and you're back in the banking industry. So how about you're a vice president and a branch manager. So can you tell us, how do you balance between the two? Do they have different job titles and descriptions involved in them or?
So honestly, with that description, I joke that it's just a fancy word for I wear a lot of hats and do a lot of things. Honestly, I'm in the branch every day. So I oversee the branch operations for Fort Dodge. I directly manage the retail side. So that's your bankers, your tellers, anything like that. We also have, mortgage, trust services, wealth management that don't report directly to me, but I do oversee the entire building, everybody that's in it. So honestly, in the leadership side of it, it's really just a matter of kind of triaging throughout the day and what needs done first, balancing that leadership side, and then the immediate things that need done with members or my team or anything from that standpoint. So every day is a little bit different, honestly.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you, what does a typical day look like for you? But I guess if they're all different.
There's no such thing.
What I love about all this is the diversity of what you bring into your job, because you started out at the very beginning. Bank teller is
it's entry level.
Entry level and all the way up. And then working in the economic development area. That gives you a whole different perspective.
It does, completely. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, speaking to that, that's, you go into public service, you start working with communities and things like that. I feel like that's one of those things where when you realize working with a big box bank and you didn't want to kind of do the sales kind of thing, because that's kind of what they do a little bit in an aspect. You didn't really want to do that, so you kind of shifted into giving back, it seemed like. That's awesome. That's awesome. Can you tell us a brief history of Green State Credit Union?
Absolutely. So Green State started in 1938 as the University of Iowa Community Credit Union. So it was based with employees around the hospital and the school. And then eventually they expanded membership to include families of those employees, and then expanded to the community all around. So in 2019, there was a state law passed where no credit union within the state could be named after a public university.
Okay.
And so that's when the University of Iowa Community Credit Union went into the name Green State.
Okay.
And how that came about was they threw some different names out there. The name suggestion actually came from one of our members at the time who had left Iowa for quite a while. And as they were flying back to return home, they noticed that just all the green on the ground from up ahead and looking like a quilt of green, they said. And that is where they got that state of green and the name Green State, and it stuck. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
Very cool.
You said 1938, right?
1938.
I mean, that was one of those things that I was like, Green State, they're kind of a new bank. It's like, no, they're definitely not. Well, excuse me, credit union,
Credit
because it's
union.
not a
Bank.
bank.
Nope,
it's not a bank. Yes.
Correct.
I don't think I have that on here. What's the difference between a bank and a credit union? But it's the general difference.
General difference. So banks and credit unions are different because banks have shareholders. They have people that are managing partners of the bank itself. Credit unions do not have that. So our shareholders are our members. So there's no team of shareholders that we're paying. There's nobody that is kind of in that managing aspect of it. We have a CEO that's hired by our board of directors, and he reports to that board. And then we have an executive team that manages the day-to-day operations. But that's the biggest difference, is because we are considered not-for-profit, we give our profits back to the community that we're in.
Yes. I remember seeing that. That was like the equivalent of like your guys' dividends just basically
Correct.
go to your members instead of going to
Somebody's
a
pocket.
shareholder of some sort, you know. That's awesome. Okay, so we got that out of the way. I apologize. It's a credit union. So what about community involvement? That's another thing that I kind of looked at a little bit. I know that you're involved in the community a little bit.
Yes.
Is Green State involved in the community around here?
Absolutely. So being a credit union, that is one of our key values, as we give back to the community. We do that through financially, through donations. We have a Green State Foundation that gives back. We also have corporate giving that gives back to all the communities that we're in. Last year, we donated over $90,000 back to the Fort Dodge community through different programs. And then everybody on my team and across Green State have a very high emphasis and value on giving back to the communities and volunteering. So we do a lot of that throughout the year. Everybody on my team has at least 1 or 2 events every year that they participate in. Last year, we did over 650 hours as a Fort Dodge team back into the community and volunteer hours.
Holy cow. That's like a quarter of a year of one person working. That's a lot of time to give back.
What type of programs did you spend those hours in? I think that everybody would like to know
Absolutely.
that.
So I am on the board for Main Street Fort Dodge, as well as the Growth Alliance. One of my colleagues is on the ambassadors for the Growth Alliance.
Oh, that very well.
Yep. You know Natalie well.
Yes. She's standing by me most of the time at the ambassador meetings.
Yes,
and stuff.
absolutely. So we have a employee that's a member on the YSC board and very involved in that. We have one of our team members that is very involved in Webster County 4-H, so a lot of it goes into there. We participate in Brown's Shoe Fit every single year. That's something that my entire team gets involved in, so that's a lot of fun to see everybody come out and do that. And then just various things throughout the year. If something comes across our desk and our email that we want to participate in, we've got the leeway to be able to do that and to be able to go and be encouraged to do those things, which is huge.
Brown's Shoe Fit event, like you had mentioned. I remember reading about that. Can you, what exactly is that? Just like a quick...
Yeah, so it's to promote health and fitness and being active in the community.
They do like a community walk.
They do a community walk.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, that's right. Perfect. Shoe company community walk. Makes sense.
Yep.
But it started out as such a small event, and now it's just blossomed. And it's really exciting to see on that Thursday night all the people walking, especially along Fifth Avenue South. And, and it's not just adults, it's kids, it's
everybody. People have their dogs,
strollers,
with them.
Their dogs. Yeah. Yes, it's a very much a community event.
Absolutely.
So we had mentioned earlier some of like the core values that you guys have at Green State Credit Union. We probably glossed over a couple of them when we discussed the difference between a credit union and a bank, how you guys operate, also as well as the community involvement. So are there any other core initiatives you guys have as a credit union that you're trying to provide to the general public or the community?
Absolutely. So one of the big things about a credit union, especially Green State, is we try to balance innovation and risk. So we want to give back and support as many people as we can. With also being good stewards of the finances that we're managing for people. So credit unions sometimes take bigger risks with credit profiles and things like that to be able to extend credit or open bank accounts, all those different pieces of it. So we really look heavily at making sure that we are being fiscally responsible, but still taking that risk needed to support the people in our communities. We're huge on being transparent. If you go to our website, you can see a list of things from the CEO directly, hits and misses throughout the last year or two for things that we did really well and things that we could have done better. We're the first to admit that, hey, we didn't do this right, and this is what we're doing to fix it, which I think is huge for any organization to have that ability to do that. We really focus a lot on fun, which I know people say, but honestly, I love going to work every day. I have an amazing team here in Fort Dodge, and just all the support from Green State as a whole is amazing. I love coming to work every day.
That's awesome. What about technology? Technology in banking has always been something that's kind of been intriguing to me. I guess I have an accounting degree. I learned how to do it all on paper. And then when you get to use technology to do it, it kind of, you understand the background aspects of everything by doing it on paper, but doing it with technology made it so much easier. Yep. I know, in the banking and credit union industry, always seems to be a lot of technology, new stuff coming out. They're applying it in new different ways and using it for, ease of use for either themselves or their customers. Or can you tell us a little bit about some of the technological changes that have happened?
Absolutely. So you've got two very distinct split generations, one that wants nothing to do with technology and one that wants everything to do with it. So the one that wants everything to do with it, we are working to cater to that demographic as well. So the ability to check your balance online 24 hours a day, anytime you need to. Transferring between bank accounts, different financial institutions even, you can move money between. Having the ability to serve members outside of our normal working hours. Fort Dodge has 2 ATMs set up at our location that are also what we call ITMs, which is an interactive teller machine. So if you tap the screen, you can get a live person. They are a Green State employee. They're usually remote employees, but they are within Green State. You can talk to a live person even after we're closed. They have extended hours beyond what we have at the branch.
That's cool.
That is very cool. Yeah, very, very cool.
And they can really answer most of the questions.
The
Pretty good.
only thing they cannot do is print a cashier's check or give you rolled coin for a change order. Everything else they can process just like we can in the branch.
It's hard to push that roll coin.
A little bit. They get kind of heavy in that drawer. The guys servicing the ATM said they couldn't do that. We asked, but it wasn't happening. So
they chuckled over that one when you said that.
So what about financial education? Is that part of your mission as well for let's say the individuals or your clientele that you are serving?
Yep, absolutely. So one big thing about financial education is it's something we pursue and something we really try to discuss with everybody that we work with. So our foundation, that's one of their main goals, is financial literacy. We have programs set up that gear towards children, teenagers, adults, across the board. We're able and willing to look at different financial tools, different options for people to help them succeed financially. Both myself and Natalie, the assistant branch manager, are certified and trained as financial coaches through the Iowa Credit Union Foundation. We went through a year-long program to be able to, look at somebody's financial history and background and kind of see, okay, maybe this is why they're making the decisions they're making. How did they grow up with money? How did they grow up talking about money? And really look at kind of their financial picture now and see, okay, what can we do to help you get farther ahead? What can we do to help maybe repair your credit if it's a very colorful credit situation? So the ability to do that, not only with her and I, but with my entire team who are willing and able to do that and educate around financial pieces, is something that all of us do on a daily basis.
Yeah, you brought up something I think is really important there is the behavioral aspect of it all. I mean, you could just be like, well, quit eating lunch every day at this place or whatever, but there's probably a behavioral aspect behind it too. So that's something where if you can address that at least a little bit, or at least look at it and say this might be one of the factors, and how can we mitigate this or change it just a little bit to change the scenario?
Absolutely. Every day is like a day of we listen and we don't judge. I mean, honestly, we have seen everything. So if people are nervous about coming in and looking at finances, if they're nervous to see their credit score, they shouldn't be, because we literally see everything across the board. We don't judge. We're happy to help. We will do what we can. Even if that's a matter of saying, you know what, at this point, we can't do this, but here's how we think we can do it in the future. Or here's what we need to do to get you on the right track.
Yes. Okay. I love that. It's maybe not the thing they wanted to hear, but you can wrap it in something that's like, we can change a couple things and then we can get back to this and
Yep.
it'll be everything will be just fine. You
Absolutely.
know? And I think that's something always important to remember about finances is they can change drastically, but they can always change for the good again, you know? So if it does have a negative effect somewhere, you can always get back to it, and talking to somebody about it always helps, you know?
Always.
Okay.
Well, that way you're able to actually identify more.
Certainly.
Specifically what that individual needs versus them just getting some generic answer off of Google, Googling it and trying to find out, but be more specific based on some additional knowledge that you're able to bring into that.
Absolutely. And there are definitely circumstances that are situational versus habitual.
That's
and
right.
those two things are very different. And being able to analyze that for somebody and say, okay, you have, late pays on your credit report, but, you lost your job that year. So obviously there's a reason maybe that happened. So let's look past that and see what we need to do to fix it now. Habitual, living above your means. So we are constantly running up credit card debt because you're maybe not budgeting effectively. Let's work out a budget and see what we can do to help alleviate that in the future and, bump that score up a little higher.
Yeah, we produce a podcast here for a financial advisor company, and that's one of the things they like to hammer home is budgeting. And it's something that I don't normally look at too much, but then when I sit down and make a budget, I'm like, I need to make a couple changes here, to fit into where I thought I was in this window, but I need to adjust this just a little bit to actually fit in this window I just made. So, budgeting definitely always important as well. How about evolution of your industry, like credit unions in general, over the next 5 to 10 years? We had talked a little bit about technology. How about some other things that might change over the next 5 to 10 years?
So I foresee technology being a huge aspect of it going forward. We are, Green State specifically is growing and expanding. We have 4 branches in Omaha opening in 2025 and 26, which is huge for us to be in that market. We really are at a point where we're growing into the footprint now that we've created. I don't foresee us expanding much outside the Midwest. That's home for us. We're localized in the Midwest. We don't want to go beyond that at this point. So with credit unions in general and financial institutions in general, there's going to be a higher emphasis on needing to keep up with technology because that's what people expect. They want things at their fingertips. They want things right now. They want to be able to access things through social media and through websites and apps, and just being able to keep up on that and keep ahead of the trends, I think is huge. Being able to, like I said, the ITMs, having that capability to do that. I foresee more of those coming up in communities where maybe there isn't enough to warrant a full branch, but having an ITM there that can do most things would be beneficial to supporting the membership that maybe we already have there. So we're trying to build into where we know we have a large footprint of members and be able to service them more effectively than what we can do right now with somebody having to drive 2 hours to Fort Dodge maybe, because we do have people that do.
Yeah. I mean, I can say first and foremost, the main bank I use is not located anywhere near me. So having like an app or something makes it a lot easier. I couldn't imagine if in my town there was an ITM where I could walk up to and actually see a person face to face. That'd be awesome, because I've never actually walked into a branch of the main financial institution that I use. So I don't know. Maybe that's not a good thing, but at the same time, it works for me. So I go with that. But I would love to be able to see somebody's face, especially in my hometown, just walk up to the machine or do a drive-through at the drive-through ITM and be like, hey, this is the person I know, so.
Absolutely.
All right. So we talked a little bit about some initiatives you guys have to give back to the community. Do you have any specific ones that are, let's say spearheaded by Green State Credit Union that are going to be happening in the Fort Dodge area at all?
Sure. So we, because of where we're located, we're in the downtown district, just as you guys are. So being down here, Main Street, Fort Dodge is a huge player for us in Growth Alliance, just because of all the different areas that they touch within the community. So we're very involved in those, golf outing when it comes up in September, and every aspect of those, trying to be as involved as we can. We did have a large pledge made to the YSC's expansion of their building that they're doing currently. Linking Families, we have a large project assisting them with their upcoming projects that they're doing. And so trying to give back on that foundation side as well is
we
huge.
love working with Elizabeth from Linking
Elizabeth's
Families
fantastic.
and that new daycare that she's putting together, child care. It's really going to make a big difference in the community.
Absolutely.
So how about we talked a little bit about financial products that you're involved with at Green State. So can we do like a little rundown of what are maybe some of those common things that are utilized there? Some of the, financial tools or things like that?
Absolutely. So we have your basic checking and savings accounts, money market savings, which are higher yielding accounts if there's a higher balance in there, online banking, bill pay, debit cards. We have the ability to print debit cards on the spot in the branch. So if somebody loses their debit card, has fraud on it, anything like that, you stop into the branch, we can print you in about 5 or 7 minutes. So it's quick.
Yeah, no more calling somebody and waiting 7 to 10 days.
You have to get a card. Absolutely. Just come in, we can take care of it. We have mortgage services. We have wealth management, investment type services. We have trust services, which is where Green State is actually oversees the administration of a trust for family or individual. We have car loans and personal loans, home equity loans. Really, we're full service. Everything you can think of financial product-wise, we can probably accommodate. We do commercial lending. We do small business lending. Even if it's not somebody we have locally in this office, we have the resources and somebody on our team to call in that can be with us right away on the phone with somebody if we need to.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome to know you haven't specialized. It seems like a lot of financial institutions in the last 5 to 10 years have kind of like, we do offer everything, but we key in on these things. We don't, the one I'm thinking of is, in my head was they used to do car loans and now they're like, we don't really do car loans anymore. We can, but it's not really like something. It's not something they take a whole lot of on, And I didn't really realize that until I got into the industry where I realized how much they kind of shift the responsibilities. It's like, we have a bunch of car loans in our bank. We don't want them anymore. We're going to shift them over to this bank and they're going to take care of car loans now. It's kind of interesting that you guys are full service all the way across the board still.
We really try to be. And every time we have a new member walk in or even current members, we're trying to look at what opportunities we have for them. So one of the things we hear a lot now is about insurance. My insurance rates are so high. Well, we have insurance services. We can set you up with an advisor that can look at all your options. So things like that and really making sure we are catering to people and what their needs are is the key to everything that we do.
Mm-hmm. So,
well, you also, once you came into Fort Dodge, you took on more agriculture based than what you were at some of your other locations, I believe.
Yep, we did. I think that was probably a learning curve for a lot of people just because it was not something that Green State had specialized in before, just because we're tend to be very metro markets. And this is, even though we're in a community in a city, it's probably more rural than compared to some of the Des Moines, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids markets. And so that, I think, with the acquisition was definitely brought some new blood and some new life into some of the things that they were doing. So that was exciting to see kind of that shift to a little bit.
Yeah, you got to think if you go up to Humboldt or over to Webster City, you got to go 20 some miles. There's a lot of people in those 20 some miles all the way around the city here. A lot of them are farmers, and that's just the way it works.
Well, and with the acquisition that you took in, there was a large number of already agriculture based
absolutely
customers.
Absolutely. A lot of agriculture, a lot of business. So
how does a credit union help its member achieve goals? Maybe Green State and specifically then.
So like I mentioned, we have, financial coaches. Everybody's cross-trained to look at all the opportunities for somebody. What can we do to assist them? What can we do to help them succeed financially? Some of the things that Green State does that kind of set us apart, but also help different populations succeed is we, in 2021, put a commitment out there that within 10 years, we were going to have $1 billion in home loans to people of color because it's an underserved, underbanked population. And the homeownership gap in Iowa between people of color and other demographics it's a very, very wide gap. And so we wanted to help close that gap and help more people achieve the dream of owning their own home. Mm-hmm. So we also have the ability to do what we call I-10 lending. And what an I-10 is, it's if somebody either is not able to yet or is not eligible for a Social Security number, they can apply for an individual taxpayer identification number. We can use that number to do loans. We can lend with those. So if somebody does not have a Social Security number, we're able to do car loans. We can do credit cards, things to help build credit so that when it comes time to maybe buy a house, they've built that up. We also don't require a Social Security number to open a bank account. If you have one, we'll put it on file. If somebody does not have one for any reason, we still can open an account and help them start to gain more experience and more education around finances and also help start building them a stronger future financially.
Awesome. So what do you find like is the most rewarding part of doing your job? Let me ask you that.
I think just the people I get to work with on a daily basis. It's my team and it's the members we have coming in. So it's knowing that you were able to help somebody when they were stuck in a situation. I love problem solving. I love being creative. I love looking at somebody's financial picture and deciphering it like a puzzle. Like, okay, what can we do to help you get here? You're at point A, you want to be at point B. These are the things we can do to get you there. And then seeing that success and seeing that happen is what is honestly my favorite part out of all of it.
I can agree with that 100%. I worked in the mortgage industry during, let's just call it the 2000 crisis. And that was something where, like you had mentioned earlier, sometimes these people are in a financial bind through no fault of their own. And you have to find a way to try to help them out the best way you can. Yep. So you use the tools at your disposal and you help them out the best way you can. And then, you've dealt with it. So you have to kind of go back through every few months to kind of like make sure everything's still working the way it is. And it was nice to see people getting back on their feet again, you know, and it's like, this person was kind of dealt a junky hand and it wasn't their fault. And it's nice to be able to help them out. You know, it's one of those things, giving back in that sense. It's very personally rewarding, even though technically I didn't really have a whole lot to do with it. I'm just the worker that did the paperwork, you know, so what advice would you give to somebody that's looking to improve their financial health? I know we had talked a little bit about some things they can do. You know, obviously just coming in and talking to somebody might be the easiest thing, but if you had to just give some general advice to some people looking to improve their situation, what would it be?
You bet. So, number one, finances touch every aspect of our lives. So that is the number one stressor that people have is their financial picture. And so if somebody is stressed about it, if somebody's not where they want to be, come talk to us, honestly. Come talk to us, talk to a trusted financial professional, talk to somebody that has knowledge of the inner workings of the finance system, because they're going to be the best person to kind of gear you towards what maybe you can do to make that situation better. So, like I said before, don't ever be nervous. Don't ever feel ashamed. There's no shame in any of it. Things happen, life happens, and we've seen it all. We have seen everything you can imagine. So, and it's everybody has different situations and different things that got them to where they are now. And we're happy to look at all of them and see what we can do to help.
How about advice to somebody that's considering, and I'm not trying to draw a rift between the two, but if they were trying to decide credit union or bank, what advice would you give to somebody looking at those two and maybe to choose one of them?
Sure. So honestly, I'd tell them, try it. Come to a credit union, open an account. If in 6 months you're not seeing what you'd like to see, you're not feeling like there's benefit to it, close it. You won't, but you can. So I haven't had anybody that has made that shift from a large bank to a credit union decide to go back in the 3 years I've been with Green State. So just because once they get in the door and they look at, we really can offer everything that a bank can offer. One of the big misunderstandings that I get from people is, well, credit unions are not insured. We are. We're not insured through FDIC, but we have NCUA, which is the same coverage as FDIC. So people don't need to be nervous about that. Credit unions were established because of the Great Depression, because it was a cooperative. And so that's one thing that I think makes a big difference, is that we came out of a financial crisis, and that's how credit unions were first established. So we have that in our history to be able to support people. And so if somebody's not sure which direction to go, come see me. I have a whole list I can give you comparing the two. If somebody still chooses a bank, that is wonderful. However they want to do their finances is fully supported. But I think they can do a lot by coming to a credit union.
Yeah, I will say, the main bank I used most of my life it was a credit union was what it was, and the thing I found out there was it might have been a little bit easier. There was a little more wiggle room with things, where at banks, it was this is what you get, this is the interest rate and there's never anything else we can do about it. But at a credit union, sometimes they're like, this is our standard interest rate. Given your scenario, we can do this instead. Yep. It seemed like there was a little bit, I don't want to call it wiggle room, but it was like there was a little wiggle room, because it was for the members. And as a member of the credit union, they were like, this is what we can offer you, or if you went in and you said, I like this, but over here I can do this, and they'll try and find a way to make it benefit you to leave your money in that location, So I always thought that was one of the things that was better, generally speaking, about a credit union. Obviously all banks and credit unions are different. So I'd like to see that sheet of paper that compares the,
Yeah.
like what a credit union and a
Absolutely.
bank, can offer. Like that's where my brain, if I saw it on a sheet of paper, I'd be like, this is where it's at right
Yep.
here for sure.
I was wondering, since you're on Main Street, Fort Dodge, and the Growth Alliance as well, what are you seeing in the community?
So we see a need for people that, we need space for people coming in.
Yes.
People that have ideas, people that want to start a business or expand their business, having the ability to help them do that. We're seeing the same things that I think most communities are seeing. We're seeing, businesses that are closing potentially, businesses that don't have maybe a succession plan for that or a family that wants to take it over or anything like that. So trying to keep those thriving businesses alive as much as possible and support them in ways to make sure that they can succeed. And just having an economic development background that is universal among most communities, especially more rural communities, just because having that small business atmosphere is what I think makes communities thrive. And there's a lot to be said for being able to walk down the street and hit the specialty shops and be able to shop locally versus going on Amazon. And we all go on Amazon. I know that it's convenient, it's quick, but being able to bring more into a community so that maybe people aren't drawn to Amazon or those big box stores as much as possible, I think is key to help Fort Dodge thrive and any community thrive with keeping things local and supporting those small businesses that we have and ones that want to be here.
Yeah, a podcast we produce here, actually, Talk Fort Dodge, they were talking about that, how there's a business in town they went to, and they're like, well, it was like $1 more to get something here than it was on Amazon, but I didn't have to wait 2 days for it. Where it was kind of funny back in the day. It was like, well, I only have to wait 2 days, but now we're like, I have to wait 2 whole days for this. Yeah. Isn't that weird how it just like flip-flopped? And they were just like, well, it's so great that Fort Dodge has this, and I can just go right over there in town and go grab some of this,
Yep.
Whatever the product was. I do recall what it was, but you'll have to go listen to the Talk Fort Dodge episode to figure out what they were talking about.
And what episode was that, Peter?
I actually don't know. It was the last episode.
The last one, okay.
So go listen to the last episode. But yeah, I think that's one of the things about, downtown Fort Dodge. That's one of my favorite things is, working down here. There's a few places I go where sometimes it's just like, I'm just going to go run around the corner real quick and go do one of these, instead of like getting in my car and driving all the way across town. It's really nice to be able to do that and not really like leave the downtown area or to go more than like a block or two away.
Yep.
And I could still kind of do some of the things I want to do. I think that's also one of the things that might be one of the bigger challenges as far as like, the Main Street Fort Dodge or like bringing businesses into downtown Fort Dodge. There's a lot of big buildings here. It might be kind of tough to fill some of those, unless we start divvying them up a little bit or slicing them up into smaller pieces. But who was on here? It was the Main Street downtown.
It was Mary.
Yes, she was discussing like the different things people could do with some of those buildings and things like that. So
we do have, for a community of the size of Fort Dodge, some of the tallest buildings in the state of Iowa, literally. And people don't realize that. And that's because in the early 1900s, the railroad and everything, 2 different railroads coming right by here, really built that up. And yeah, buildings were filled with all kinds of businesses.
Oh yeah, I think like there's only a few places that still have multi-level businesses. Like the Boston Center has stuff on the second floor and things like that. And it's funny when you tell people like, yeah, there's a golf simulator on the second floor, and people like, you can go up on the second floor and there's a business up there. It's like, man, there used to be like 6-level stores. There used to be actual department stores downtown
with the elevator
here.
and yes, that was the Boston Center. It was quite the place.
It is. And if you come into our branch, so Green State Tradition says that the office locations, branch locations are decorated with historical photos from the community that they're in. So if you walk in our branch, in every single office and in the lobby, there's pictures of downtown Fort Dodge and areas of Fort Dodge from way back to like founding days. So if anybody ever wants to look at these pictures, we got them right there from the Historical Society. We had a great relationship with them working on those. But it's pretty cool to see, and that's people wander my office occasionally when I don't have anybody in there to just look at the pictures, and we're happy to have them do that. So it's pretty neat to see how the history has grown and how Fort Dodge has grown over the years.
Well, I know when you came in here to our store, our office, you were really stunned, because this is a over 100-year-old office or building, and you had no idea it was as big as it is.
So far back, and I couldn't believe it was as big as it wasn't. It doesn't look that big from the outside.
No, it doesn't look that big, and that we could have as many people as we have in here, and all the services that we're able to provide.
Absolutely.
All right. So as we wind this down, I do have one question I tend to usually ask everyone on the podcast. The answers are always different, so I'm always intrigued to see what people are going to think of this or how they're going to answer this. But can you name a time in your life when marketing impacted you and possibly didn't realize it until afterwards?
So all the time. So my degree is actually in communications and marketing, and I'm in finance. So, but honestly, it's every aspect of it. Marketing plays a role in so many things. Everything is tied to marketing. If you are not selling a product, if you are in a position where you are trying to get people to agree with your idea, you're trying to get people to believe in the nonprofit you work for, all of it is marketing. You might not be selling a product, but you're selling an idea. You're selling a system for people, an idea for people. It's all marketing. And so every role that I've ever had has had some tie to marketing in it, even though it wasn't, I may not be trying to get somebody to open a checking account in this role, but I'm trying to, explain to somebody why they should locate here, why they need to bring their business in, why they need to support this nonprofit that I work for. And so reflecting back on that, I realized that really everything I've ever done has a tie in that marketing side of it, even if I didn't know it at the time. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about it a few times in a couple past episodes. It's one of those things where marketing, it's like when I watch a TV show or I'm watching football on the weekends or something, and you're just like, there's so many commercials, and you kind of just get tired of it. But every now and then a commercial comes on where you're like, ooh, what's this? And it's like, it doesn't seem like a commercial or somebody's marketing to you anymore. And that's the best part about marketing, I think, is like, you're basically just trying to tell people, these are the tools that we have available to you to use in your life for whatever, this reason or that reason. And you just kind of have to go out there and do it, and talk to people and tell them what you have and what you can offer, and it's not always, that commercials, that negativity thing, because I remember I've probably 10 episodes in, I was just like, oh, holy cow, I didn't realize that marketing worked like this, where if it's something I want or I needed, I didn't look at it as somebody marketing towards me. I was just, this is a nice idea. I wish I would have known about this sooner. And then you go out and you buy the thing or you participate in the whatever, and I think that's one of the best parts about marketing is it's so open-ended. Like you said, like everything everyone does at their job somehow or another has something to do with marketing. It seems like, whether or not you're like a fabricator, like your end product is a testament to the quality or what, everything is a proportion of that marketing. So definitely marketing is everywhere. And I just love like hearing how people answer that question because it's very open-ended.
Mm-hmm. What I think is funny, you brought that up. There's a commercial right now about NFL and food. And in the commercial, I can't even remember who it is that's doing the commercial.
I don't remember.
But he goes, the only reason we have football is so that they can sell food.
Oh, is it Matthew McConaughey?
Yes, that's who it is, exactly. That's what he's talking about. The only reason we have football is so that they can sell you food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, what are you eating, Jerry? Rice, Okay, all right, yeah. But I will say a food ad did get me during football this weekend. So those are usually the ones that get me. Domino's will get me every time. I swear I'm on the phone within 10 minutes of seeing that commercial every single time it comes on. Especially when there's my guilty pleasure. There's a deal. Yes. Especially I'm just like, wait, there's a deal on this? I want some of that. Absolutely. One of the ones that I always used to bring up was ice cream. It's pretty cold out now. I don't think I haven't gotten any ice cream in a while, but when those summer months hit again, as soon as I see a Blizzard commercial, I gotta go get one. But we're close to the dairy yet, so during the summer you're gonna be able you can almost walk. I can walk right over there and get one. We do a lot in the summer. It's right there in the alley. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it's right next door to you guys almost. Yep. That's awesome. Block and a half from our office. Mm-hmm. Sweet. All right. We'll meet in the middle and we'll meet at the dairy at this summer. Perfect. That sounds great. And then I'll swing over and I'll check out all the historical video photos that are in all your guys' office. We can walk around inside the building and eat our ice cream and check out all the buildings. Absolutely. That sounds great. We got a little vacation planned for us here. Well, Sarah, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your day because you're obviously very busy, over at Green State Credit Union. If you guys are looking for any information on Green State Credit Union, I'm going to put it down in the descriptions. So any links to social medias or any of their websites or anything like that, just go down there and click away and click like. And if you got any questions, feel free to ask Sarah what she's got to offer you. So, Sarah, thank you very much. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you'd like to cover? No, I think this was great. I appreciate you guys so much inviting me, and this was a fantastic time. So thank you. Yeah, I'm glad we met you. Thank you, Sarah. This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.